tendrils.
Sucker? No, not tendril. A little plantlet was angled the wrong way, but I just turned it around. But it is looking healthy again. Remember a few episodes ago it
does look good. But before we talk too much plant stuff, let me just say welcome back to another episode of Tell Me Where I'm Going Wrong. I'm Sean and that's Josh, and we're your hosts. And this is a podcast where two exes who are still really good friends talk about politics, love, life, plants, suckers, and plant suckers, I mean, and anything in between. How you doing, Josh?
Hi, I'm okay, thank you, Sean. I'm rather hot. I am complaining about the heat because my fan broke last night, and so all I have is this tiny little desk fan. Not even a desk fan; it's like a little handheld fan. So that's all I have to keep me cool in this heat wave. But apart from that, all good.
I don't have a fan.
Well, your flat gets quite a lot of cross breeze, whereas mine does not at all.
Not right now it doesn't, because I've got all of the windows shut. For people who don't, obviously people don't know what day we're filming this, but it's 29 degrees. What was that?
Sorry, that was, oh my God, the ongoing saga. So I was using a coaster, but because you were complaining about the noise of my glass hitting the desk. Yeah. So I'm using a coaster, but then I just picked my glass up and the coaster stuck to the bottom and then dropped. So it's just deal with it.
You're always flapping around with something over there.
Well, I don't think anyone cares. You're the only one that seems to have an issue with it.
So anyway, it's 29 degrees, which centigrade, which is quite hot in London. And so I would normally have my windows open and I would get a nice breeze, but there's a lot of street parties going on in my part of London today. So on the estate that I live on, there is a tenants community picnic. It happens once a year. So there's like a middle part where there's a bit of grass down there and some trees. There are some tents and little marquees down there. There's a jazz band playing.
Oh, nice.
Are
you going to go? Are you invited? Are all residents allowed?
Yeah, anyone's allowed to go. You take your own blanket down there, you take food. They've got free soft drinks.
Are you going to go?
Yeah, well, we walked down before and listened to a little bit of the jazz. And then also, do you know the street? I don't want to dox myself, but the street where the Waitrose is? And the name of that street. It's their annual street party.
Oh,
so
fun.
The entire street from Waitrose all the way up to Old Street or whatever it is now I've just given it away. But it's all like there's people doing art, there's live performances, there's a stage with singer-songwriters performing, there's poetry, there's kids' activities, there's all food stalls. And so it happens once a year. So it's today and tomorrow. And it's nice. It's nice to have community stuff going on. Yeah. But it is scorching hot out there. Like for London, it's very hot.
Speaking of once a year, this is episode 52, which means that our podcast has been going for an entire year. So congratulations to us, I suppose. Thank you to our listeners who have stuck with us, who've joined us.
Some of them have stuck with us.
Some of them. Well, the other ones won't be listening or watching this, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, those that have stuck with us, or just casual people who dip in and out of it, welcome back, and thank you for joining us on this journey.
So we can give a shout out to Helen, who seems to have been listening since the first episode, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or watching even,
Watching, listening, and I suppose you do both things to be technically correct, right? You watch and listen.
You do. And you learn. Watch, listen, and learn.
Yeah, you live, you learn. We always talk about Alanis.
We do.
So Michelle also listens quite a lot. I don't know if Michelle has been listening as much recently because, they were having moving into temporary accommodation because of renovations or not renovations, repair work to their place. Hey, can I tell you just this little tidbit that this thing that I'm holding on to, it's a little gold necklace, and it's got. Can you see that?
Is that an A?
Yeah, Easy A. But what was that movie? Was that a movie called Easy A with
Yeah.
Emma Stone? Was that right?
I think
Oh,
so,
okay.
yeah.
So this is a weird story, but we were in our lounge room, living room, on the sofa, and the sofa was here when we moved in. It's a furnished apartment or furnished flat, and we were just, I don't know, there was a weird smell in our apartment and we couldn't work out what it was. It's gone now. It was like a mystery. It was just there. But Hill was started to be convinced that there was maybe food that fell down the back of the couch or down the side of the couch, because there's this vinyl, ugly brown vinyl couch sofa. And he was digging around trying to tidy, and he reached down and he pulled out this necklace with an A on it. And we've lived here over a year. And so I thought, I think I was trying to remember the name of the person that lived here before us.
Yeah.
And because her mail sometimes comes from random things that she doesn't care about. And her name doesn't start with an A. But when I went back through my memories in my brain, what do you call it? Rolodex of memories. I remember her calling herself Annie in the messages. So that's not the name that's on like the mail or any of the official stuff that comes here. But I remember her saying her name was Annie. And so I messaged her this morning. Obviously I haven't been in contact with her for over a year. And I just said, oh, hi, this is me. I live in your old flat, blah, blah, blah. And I sent her a photo of this. And she said, oh, my God, I can't believe you found that. I didn't know whatever happened to it.
Oh, really?
And she said, can I come and get it? So she's coming around at 6:00 tonight to get it. It must be sentimental. Or
that's nice.
Would you have gone to that trouble?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, for sure.
It just struck me that a lot of people wouldn't, would they? Like a lot of people would just go, don't give a shit.
Yeah, right? There are a lot of people who don't want to create good things in the world. Speaking of finding things underneath or hidden inside seats, do you remember it was about 4 or 5 months ago, I think? Remember I'd been up to Leeds to visit our friend Sue, and I came back to London and I couldn't find my wallet.
Are you not saying her real name?
Well, Anna, but Sue doesn't matter, does it? Sue! Well, Sue, does it matter? For the purposes of this story, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so I came back, couldn't find my wallet anywhere, and I just turned my room upside down, couldn't find it. I looked everywhere, and then I thought, okay, one place...
Did you have a right turnout, sir?
I had a right turnout. And I thought the only place I haven't really gone through with a fine-tooth comb is my car. So, I did the whole thing, the boot, blah, 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 looked everywhere, just got everything out of it. And then as a last resort, I thought, I'm just going to get right down, like on my hands and knees, and get my phone torch out and look under the seats, like the driver's seat and the passenger seat. And then under the driver's seat, I found this sunglasses case. And I pulled it out and I thought, oh, I don't recognize that. That's odd. And I opened it up, and inside I found 2 condoms and a packet of Viagra, and all of them had expired. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like, I was, I've never used Viagra. The condoms weren't vegan, so they wouldn't have been mine. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like, how bizarre. But then I looked at the date that they'd expired, and they actually expired before I even bought the car. So I think they must have been whoever.
How would they have been under there? How have you never looked under the...
Well, you know me, Sue. I'm not the cleanest of people.
Did you also find a few packets of Imperial mints under there, sir?
No, that would have been nice if I'd seen some Imperial mints. But yeah, so I never did.
Can you, before we go any further, for people listening who don't understand the concept, can you explain why condoms can or cannot be vegan?
No, not really.
What do you mean?
I just know that some are and some aren't. I mean, the ones that are not vegan would include some sort of animal product or be tested on animals. That's my understanding of it. But is there more to it? I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's basically it. I think some of them used some sort of milk derivative or lactose or
Oh, really?
yeah. But so you'll never find out the answer to that mystery then, where they came from.
No, I mean, I assume they were, because remember at first I asked you because I helped you guys move house like
Yeah.
about a year ago when you moved into that place, and and I was just thinking of whether I would tell the other funny story from that day, but maybe that's not for the pod.
But before we move too far forward, I've done some live research.
Okay, thank you.
Many traditional condoms are not vegan because they contain casein, a milk protein used to soften the latex. I mean, it says this other thing as well, which I don't think is very common, but it says some condoms may also use lamb intestine.
That's
like
just gross.
How would that?
Disgusting.
But vegan condoms are made from plant-based materials and do not contain any animal products. But it says lambskin condoms are usually particularly used by individuals with latex allergies.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
How gross to think you're putting like the intestines of a lamb on your penis, around your penis. Is that not disgusting?
Yeah, and then if that penis is going inside someone's body as well, like lamb intestine, that's a bit. Anyway, maybe it's getting all a bit too graphic.
God.
So that's nice. I'm glad that you were able to reunite the A necklace with Annie or whatever.
Easy A.
Yeah,
but I thought. I wonder if, like, some people would have had a split-second thought of, "Oh, I've just found this. I'm going to see if I can get some money for it." I wonder if that's a go-to thought process for a lot of people if they were in my similar position. Like, it's been a year and a bit. Like,
yeah.
Like, if I was, I don't know, like if it was another 5 years and I was moving out for good and I found it, would I think to go back and ask that same thing? Would I bother? Like, how long would you hold on? Would you think would be the right thing to go back and reach out to somebody?
I feel like I would still make the effort. I mean, if I didn't get a reply, I wouldn't like go searching for an email or something. If I sent a message on WhatsApp or something, I don't know.
And now I've also thought, what if this person is just a scammer and has said, "Oh yeah, that's mine," and they're just going to take it in the hope that it is worth something, and it's just a coincidence that it's got an A on it.
Good luck to them, I say. Easy A.
What's the most expensive thing you've ever found? Like, obviously those condoms and Viagra weren't that expensive.
Expired condoms and Viagra. Once in Mexico City, I found. I'm just trying to think what it was in pesos. I think it was about £100 worth of pesos, which would be what, like 2,500 pesos or something. Which, and £100 is a lot here, but £100 in Mexico is like a lot of money. I mean, it's equivalent. I don't know. It's really hard to draw equivalent, but off the top of my head, I would say it's equivalent to finding probably about £400 or £500 in cash in the UK. Like if you think about salaries, cost of living, that sort of thing. And I remember it was on Reforma, Avenida Reforma, and my first thought was, oh, there must be a hidden camera. This is like a TV show test or something,
Beatles about.
Beatles, Jeremy Beadle. If you don't live in the UK, you'll have no idea what we're talking about.
Google it.
Beadles about, Beadle, Beadles about. And so I was like looking around, or sort of like shifty, like, what do I do? And I mean, I wasn't exactly rich at the time either. I was working 2 jobs. I was sort of struggling to keep up with all my outgoings. And I was just like, for a moment, I was like, oh, should I just pocket it? And then I was kind of walking along thinking, oh, am I on camera? And then I kept walking, and then I saw like a person like begging for money. Well, it's not a very nice word to use, is it? But, somebody who looked like they needed. So I gave them, I think it was a 500 peso note, and they just kind of like, I was thinking they might, be a bit sort of like shocked or grateful. Not that I needed it or anything, but their response was so like the opposite of what I thought. They were just kind of like looked at me and sneered and then took the money. All right, fine, whatever.
Maybe it was forged money.
No, it was like looked real to me. Um, and and it was near one of those, those because a lot of the big banks have their headquarters on Reforma, and it was near one of them. Anyway, so I kept walking. So I'd already given like 500 pesos away, and I kept walking, um, and I remembered that. So God, this is such a convoluted story. I'm sorry. So I don't know how many years
Your
ago.
stories often are, sir.
Well, that's not for here, Sue.
Around the houses.
So about, I would guess, 8, 9 years ago now, maybe in Mexico, there were about. What are you laughing?
Is this related to the same story?
Yes, it is. There was a teacher training college, and 43 of the students were disappeared, which is something that's quite common in Mexico. People are disappeared all the time. Like it's it's one of the sort of top countries in the world for that sort of thing happening. And I think they have found some body parts now, but for years afterwards, the authorities allegedly couldn't find who the culprits were. And so the families of these 43 students demonstrated, and they petitioned the government, and and this was in, I think it was in Guerrero. I don't think it was in, was it Oaxaca? Or anyway, it was not in Mexico City, but a lot of the families came to Mexico City, and they set up an encampment on Reforma, and they did it as a permanent protest. And they had the signs saying, Ayotzinapa 43, and now I'm saying it, I'm like, was it 43 or 53? I think it was 43. Anyway, They had this encampment on Reforma, and so I was just walking along, still thinking I was on camera, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go and give the rest to them, because they were always asking for donations. So I just went and gave the money to them.
And did you get a better response from there? So
yeah, in fact, I had a very strange experience, because I went, and it was early in the morning. I just taught an English class, and I went to. Sorry, I'm just checking the Chihuahua. He's all right. And speaking of Mexico, I'm just checking the Chihuahua, and it was early, so there weren't many people around, and I didn't want to just leave the money there because it was a very busy public street. And so I was like, hello. Well, I was in Spanish. I was like, hola. And then this Irish guy came out and was talking to me, and I was like,
top of the morning to you. Is that how you knew?
Yeah. No, I mean, he responded in Spanish at first, and then he said, you speak English? And I said, yeah. I said, are you Irish? Because I heard his accent. He was like, yeah. And then anyway, he'd been like living there, helping the parents of these students. Oh my God, this is anyway.
The story is going on. What's the
anyway?
End
So
of it?
then I gave him the money, and that was the most expensive thing I think I've ever found. And then I told all my friends, and they were like, "You should have just fucking kept the money." Like, what were you thinking? And I was like, "Well, I just felt, I felt it was bad."
Talking of Mexico, have you heard of or seen this TV show, Mentiras?
No, I don't think so. No.
Do you know about it? Okay, so you'll remember when we were living in Mexico City, there was a play that was very famous amongst the gay community called Mentiras. It was a musical comedy stage play set in the 1980s, and everyone used to go on about it. And I think for a while it was at that Telmex, Teatro Telmex on Cuauhtemoc, near Doctores.
Yeah,
above the shopping center. I think it was on there for a while. You'll remember the really gaudy colored billboard.
Yeah, vaguely.
Anyway, so they've turned it into a limited series, and it is the campest, most hilarious thing you'll ever see in your life. You need to watch it. It is so funny. It's a comedy / drama mystery about 4 women in the 1980s, and they use real pop songs from the 1980s, like real Mexican pop songs.
Mm-hmm.
And so the play is like that as well. It's like a jukebox musical when you go to see it. And it first started on stage in, I thought I wrote it down, but I don't know. But I think it was like 2009 it started, and it's been running ever since. It's still running in a different theater now. So it's a cult theatrical performance musical. And now it's been turned into this, I don't know, maybe 10-part
Is it on
series.
Netflix? What's it on?
It's on Amazon Prime, or what's it called? Is it Amazon Prime? Is that what
Amazon
it's called?
Prime, yeah.
So we actually used somebody else's login details to watch it because we don't have Amazon.
Yeah.
But I've rarely been entertained by something like I was by this.
Had Hill seen the stage version of it?
I think he might have a very long time ago. But, because he said it's like a cult sort of thing that all the gays go to in Mexico. And I think I can remember like Julio and Carlos talking about it, how much they loved it.
Yeah.
So
it
now,
does sound familiar now.
So apparently this show now is like taking Mexico by storm. Like it's all anyone talks about, and everyone's quoting it, all the lines from it all the time, and it was highly entertaining, and I think you'll enjoy it. So you should
Mentiras, okay.
Yeah, Mentiras.
I'll check it out.
And talking of movies, or I suppose that's not a movie, it's a TV show. Talking about the filmed art, there's a new cinema that's opened near me here in London. Have you heard? Did I tell you this? It's called the Nickel Cinema, and it's on Clerkenwell Road. And that's another thing, another bone I want to pick with you as well. Street names in London. Anyway, first of all,
why me? What's it? Not my responsibility. No, I didn't name them.
I want to bring it up with you, but
okay.
The Nickel Cinema, it's like a grindhouse cinema, so it's showing all that exploitation films and like cult movies, but like really old, obscure, like low budget zombie movies. Or like the other night I wanted to go.
Is it a permanent cinema or like a pop-up thing?
Yeah, it's in. Do you know that chain of shops called? I think it's called Magma. It's like they sell like books and board games and gifts. Like it's like fancy sort of gift shop. There's one in Covent Garden. So for years there's been one here on Clerkenwell Road. And it's shut down, and this cinema has opened in its spot. So it's in an old shop front. So the actual cinema room itself is tiny. And they show things from real film, VHS, DVD, streaming. Like they show however they can get hold of these old films. And it's a director who works on a lot of commercials and what do you call it when people hire you to do work? I don't know what's the term when somebody hires someone to make something.
Commission you?
Yeah, he works on a lot of commissioned work. Okay. And so I don't think he's like a super big film director or anything. I think he does a lot of, but he's really into this type of film and these genres. And so his passion was to open a cinema, and he's opened the Nickel Cinema. And it's also got like a little shop at the front where you can go and buy T-shirts or memorabilia, and they've got like a bar and like popcorn. And so I haven't had a chance to go see a movie yet. The other night I was going to go see Drink Your Blood, that old exploitation film, but I had something else on with work that I had to do. But I'm very excited to go down there and get involved. What's some of the best cinemas or your favorite cinemas that you like? Obviously, we've talked a lot on here about the Prince Charles.
Yeah.
But can you remember any others around the world that you like?
I mean, I really like the Everyman Cinema. That's a chain of cinemas around the UK, just because they're a bit quirky. They show a lot of mainstream stuff, but they do show some more interesting sort of art house stuff as well. But they have this really nice seats. They have all sort of armchairs and sofas. And stuff like that. That's really nice. I'm trying to think what was in Acton. I don't think this is before I knew you. There used to be a tiny cinema on Acton High Street in West London, and it was just like, it was honestly like the size of my bedroom. It was like an Odeon or something. It was like the smallest like chain cinema you've ever seen. It was so tiny. I think I went to see a couple of films there. What about you? Like, have you got?
Well, there's what's that town that I've been to north of London a few times?
Oh yeah.
What is that town called?
It's not. It's on the tip of my tongue. It's not Aylesbury, but it's near Aylesbury.
Yeah. What is that?
I don't
I
know. We'll
can't.
come back to it. But yeah, I know. Yeah, I
Anyway,
know
so
the
there's
one.
a cinema there, and it is so amazing. Like we went out there to see ABBA the movie,
Hmm.
the one that was that concert mockumentary filmed in Australia,
Hmm.
and it is so beautiful. The building is really old, I suppose, Art Deco style, but inside the cinema they have tables and chairs, so it's like
Mm.
cocktail seating. So you
Oh, that's
sit.
fun.
It is so beautiful and so like it's just like the most luxurious thing. And
Mm.
they had I remember there being a ton of like vegan snacks and drinks available as well. It wasn't all vegan. And they
Mm.
show a lot of, cult or family favorites. So, one day they might be showing Ghostbusters, and then they're showing ABBA movie, and then they might show a John Waters movie. But
Hmm.
it was one of the best cinemas I've ever been to. It was really beautiful. I loved
Yeah.
it a lot. And then obviously there's a lot of really beautiful cinemas in Los Angeles as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like all types of
I
um
mean, we've spoken about it on here before as well, but I used to love in Mexico. I used to love going to the cinema because you could you could go to the, I can't remember what they called them, like the upmarket VIP cinemas, and
mhm.
the cost of a VIP cinema in Mexico was still less than like an average cinema ticket in London,
Yeah.
and there would be these huge, like massive seats like that would recline with footrests, and it was just very, very luxurious. I used to really enjoy.
Well
Excuse me. I used
talking
to really enjoy doing that once in a
well
while.
talking about reaping the benefits of colonialism and wealth inequality.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen
Mm-hmm.
all the protests going on in Mexico against gentrification?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
No,
really, really massive
in Mexico
mobilized
City.
Mexico City, like
Okay.
big protests, violent against property. So, making statements, smashing windows, spray painting,
Mm-hmm.
talking about the amount of foreigners who are in Mexico City and making it unaffordable
Mm-hmm.
for local people. And it's
Mm-hmm.
funny because I think you and I kind of feel like, oh, we were before that, and so we're exempt, because
Yeah.
when we were living and working in Mexico City,
Mm.
we, yeah, we part of the appeal was because it was cheaper for us and our money went further. But there
Mm-hmm.
really weren't a lot of foreigners. I mean, there were, but now when you go to, when was the last time you've been to Mexico
I
City?
haven't been to Mexico in nearly 6 years, so
Okay,
you know
you would be so shocked.
that's
Like
what
when I,
everyone says. Everyone says that to me. Like I wouldn't recognize it. Like not all of it, but like things like places like Roma and Condesa,
yeah.
and
So
people
when
say,
when I was going last time I went a couple of years back, when I
mm,
went into stores in Condesa, like a vegan coffee shop or even a supermarket, most of the time the server just spoke to me openly in English.
wow,
And can you remember when we were there? It was very rare that you would find someone to speak English.
oh yeah, yeah. The first, well, yeah. I mean, the first few times we went, we were really limited with our Spanish, and struggled a lot.
Yeah. And so now when I was there, it was a lot of white North Americans, so from the US and Canada, who were really loudly talking English.
hmm,
And also just, Mexico City is weird. It's a little bit conservative, right? Like that was
hmm,
our experience, like the way people dress, the way people carry themselves, or the way people style themselves, like
yeah,
compared to where we're from,
yeah,
right? So people would often, like, not many locals would wear shorts, for instance, right?
no,
Like we would always see people in jeans or trousers,
yeah.
and you wouldn't see that many people with like brightly colored hair or certain styles. And what see,
Socially conservative, yeah.
yeah,
Like
socially conservative.
maybe with some exceptions to that, but yeah, compared to like British or European
Yes.
society, yeah, yeah.
And so walking around, it was quite jarring seeing like gringos, like white people from North America, being loud and dressing really differently, like to
Yeah.
how everyone else, like people were in like hot pants and, guys were like walking around with no shoes on and, do this hippie nomad, digital nomad bullshit that people do.
I remember. I think you'll probably remember this. I remember we went to see. I think it was the Arena Coliseo to see the Mexican wrestling, and I remember there were a group of North American white people. I'm assuming American. They could have been Canadian, and they were in the front row. And it was kind of awkward and embarrassing because a lot of the guys were just in shorts, wearing flip flops or thongs, whatever you call them, and like taking their flip flops off and just like putting their bare feet up on it. And it was so conspicuous, and I thought quite sort of disrespectful and rude to like not be aware of your surroundings and just behave as you normally would, I just found it a bit sort of distasteful. So yeah, I can certainly imagine how that's only gotten worse in recent years.
Yeah. And then, just people, like in a big city like Mexico, you do things like you're careful with if you've got a laptop. You wouldn't just go sit out at the cafe on the side of the street, on a busy street. But, there were people like, sat on the sidewalk with their laptops out, their MacBooks, and, acting like they were in like Seattle or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, guys, this is not like this. And so I can imagine that coupled with rising costs. So people who own property can charge 4, 5, 6 times more than they would somebody local. And so local people are being priced out. Local businesses are putting their prices up. And so there has been this like wave of reaction to it.
What
resistance.
Are people like? Are they organized and like they're asking for certain things, or they have demands, or they have desires, or is it just more like sort of uprising of discontent?
Well, I don't want to speak for Mexicans, but I think it's a combination. I think there's discontent, but I also think there is an organized list of demands, like things like rent control, or that people from overseas who come to live need to pay some sort of tax or contribution to the upkeep of Mexican society.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting how it plays out, but I get it. I completely understand. Similar to what's been going on for quite a few decades in Barcelona, the resistance to tourism.
And Amsterdam, yeah.
Yeah, because, things like Airbnbs and charging these sort of exorbitant rates, it stops local people from being able to access housing.
Yeah, and it impacts people who are less wealthy more than anyone else. And I mean, it's hard, isn't it? Because like you said, we went to Mexico and we fell in love with it, and we spent a lot of time there. And there's a part of us that probably thinks, well, yeah, we would have more right to be there because we were there before like the current wave of
we're somehow different.
But this is what humans do, right? We ruin everything. Like we literally just ruin everything. That's human nature. We cannot be trusted to govern ourselves or to behave in a way that doesn't infringe upon other people's existence. Like it's just human nature to do that. And I don't know. Anyway, sorry, go on. That's my thought.
Well, it got me thinking as well. Obviously, I still have a lot of ties to Mexico. Hill, if you're just joining us, Hill, who I'm married to, is Mexican, and his family all live in Mexico City. Some of them also live outside of Mexico City, but there's a high probability that one day we will end up living there again. Possibly in my retirement, which isn't that far away from the state of my grey beard.
Next year.
Yeah, but I do worry about going back there as an outsider, not really like scared for myself, but worried that I'm contributing to oppression or inequality. That's what I'm worried about. Like, I don't want to. Do I have the right to go there? I mean,
it's a difficult conundrum, isn't it? There's such a level of discomfort that you have to just get used to. You have to accept and acknowledge a really deep discomfort in the fact that we're both white, we're both cis men. We are relatively well off. I mean, probably, you perhaps less so, but compared to a
Thanks.
lot of people
Thanks
in the
for
world.
reminding me.
Well, no, you would have said something if I hadn't. But like it's a responsibility we have, I suppose, to at least acknowledge it. I mean, I don't know that there's a lot you can do to address it. If I always have thought, like, if I came into a lot of money, like if I won the lottery or something, I would love to do something really good with it that would really help people who are in less fortunate situations. But I mean, I don't even play the lottery, so it's not going to happen. So like, what do we do with that privilege that we have? Like, it's hard. Like, I hate being like a typical traditional tourist and just going for a week's holiday somewhere and just behaving like a tourist. I much prefer having meaningful travel experiences where you actually go and stay somewhere for a month or longer, and really get a
Yeah.
feel for it. And then, but that comes from such a place of privilege. Like, what luxury I have to own a passport. Actually, I own 2 passports. So do you, right? You own.
Yes.
Yeah. So we both have British and Australian citizenship. Like,
Yeah. I mean, that level of privilege is
some people
unbelievable.
cannot get one passport. Like, some
No.
people are literally have their statehood. Is that the word? Statehood stripped from them. Their rights to citizenship stripped away from them. And so we have the luxury of having 2.
Yeah.
And we complain a lot about everything. That's one of our most common criticisms, is that we're moaning complainers. But for all of the complaining that we do about Australia, about the UK, about the world, we're very fucking lucky to be living in the UK when you look at some places in the world. And yeah, the NHS is in a right state, but at least it exists. At least if we have an accident, we can go to a hospital and
What
probably be seen.
What was the?
Sorry, I
Oy,
just that's a new one.
what was that?
That was me catching my glass. It's so tedious. I'm catching my glass on the mic boom.
How does these things happen? Why?
I don't know, but
How are we
moving
50?
on, Sue. Moving
How
on.
are we 52? I just spat everywhere. I just spat everywhere.
Well, you can't complain about me hitting the boom if you're
How are we?
spitting on camera. I spit on your grave.
Yeah, I drink your blood. How are we 52 weeks in and you still haven't got a setup where you can get a glass from the table to your mouth without it there being a direct line with them?
I'm feeling very attacked right now.
What was the attraction for you for why you wanted to be in Mexico and live in Mexico? What was it?
It's really hard to sort of pinpoint it exactly, but it was just that feeling of when you go somewhere and you just feel that it resonates with you, or you resonate with it. I just really enjoyed so many aspects of life there. I mean, I used to complain all the time because that's in my nature. Surprise, surprise. And but there were just so many things about it that I loved. I really enjoyed the landscape. I mean, Mexico City's ringed by volcanoes, some of them active, some of them extinct. It's very dramatic, and I love the plants, the wildlife, the food, people, music. I mean, it's very hard to sort of sum it up in one sentence, but I just feel like it was one of those places that resonated with me. Same with Los Angeles, same with Sydney. Just some cities really have that energy that just that resonates with me. What
Do
about
you think?
you?
Well, similar for Mexico. For me, when I first went to Mexico, I couldn't tell anybody why it felt so special to me, but it did. Like, it instantly did. And I know that sounds a bit hippie or woo, or like I'm trying to act like I've got some sort of spiritual connection to it. I mean, I don't believe in anything like that, but it did feel very easy for me, and it felt very, like, even though I struggle, like I very much struggle with language and my Spanish is terrible, that didn't ever make me feel like it wasn't a place I belonged. Like, I felt like it was my city. Like, when I went back 2 years ago, I felt like I had a revelation. Oh yeah, this is somewhere on the planet where I feel like myself. This feels really good. I love it. But I wonder if it's ethical to ever move somewhere where you're not from if you're not in need. So I'm not talking about people who are like refugees or they're moving because of climate or food scarcity.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
wonder, could it ever be argued that it's ethical for us to move somewhere as
Yeah.
people who live in a privileged position to a country that is either developing or like, underdeveloped?
Well, yeah, this is kind of where I was going earlier when I was saying like there's this level of discomfort that we have to accept that comes with privilege, you know, and the privilege we have of having statehood, having nationhood, having two passports, two nationalities. There is an argument like that. There is an argument that says that we don't have the right to go and do that when other people don't even have access to one country. But then I suppose that the flip side of that is what does it achieve by not going? And I don't have an answer really.
I suppose by not going, you're contributing slightly less to inequity or exploitation.
Yes, but at the same time, you're also not contributing financially. So there's the argument, and I'm not saying I subscribe to it, but there is the argument, isn't there, that a lot of people like digital nomads, for example, would use saying, you know, oh, I earn money in US dollars or I earn money in British pounds. And by me going and living in Mexico, let's use Mexico City as an example, by me going and living there, spending my money there, I'm helping the local economy and I'm contributing to the city, even though I'm not necessarily paying tax there or I'm not, contributing to society in any other way because my work is still back in my home country. At least my money is going there. And I mean, yeah, there is some truth in that, definitely. I think tourism is an important source of revenue for a lot of countries and a lot of cities, particularly Mexico City. I mean, I don't have any figures to hand because I didn't know we were going to be talking about this today, but you know,
because you're so known for your
normally
well-researched.
normally I have a long list of facts and figures and research to cite in these podcast episodes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would, you know, from having lived in Mexico City, I can see how much tourism plays a big part in the economy and all of the businesses. Well, you know, a lot of the, you know, obviously we knew a lot of the vegan businesses, and a lot of them were maybe not, well, with the exception of one or two, maybe not completely dependent on tourism, but definitely, you know, helped with or even a lot of them are actually run by immigrants, you know, people who weren't Mexican who had moved there and set up a business. That was quite common. And yeah, like it's, I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about that argument that, you know, just by going there and spending your money, that's contributing and helping. Yeah, I mean, it is. But the flip side of that is it also creates gentrification and makes the cost of everything higher for people, you know, local residents. So yeah, it's a tricky one.
Because, you know, not only do things get more expensive for the general population, but the systems that they live within, like corruption, poverty, low wages, they're not getting any better. So things are becoming more expensive for them, and their standard of living is either staying the same, and so actually their standard of living worsens because of that. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not sure what the answer is, but all I know is that last time I was there were some really fucking annoying people in Mexico City.
Yeah,
like just the worst, most antagonistic behavior, like loud mouth white people.
I see. You know, you've been back a couple of times since you
just
left.
Once.
Just the one time.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it had been more than once. No. I've not been back in nearly 6 years, and I was talking to our friend Hazel about this the other day, and I was saying I really want to go back, but there's also a large part of me that doesn't want to go because, well, for a number of reasons. I think in part because it. You know, when you've lived somewhere and you need to go and you haven't been back in a long time, you always carry a memory of a place and you think it's going to be exactly the same, even though you've been gone years and years. And then when you go back, you realize that the city's kind of carried on without you, which, I mean, it's obvious, but it's it's a different place to what it was. And I don't know, like there's a part of me that wants to go back and see people, things, and have experiences there. But
Yeah.
there's a part of me that thinks it will be sad and disappointing for me in many ways because it's a different city now and it's so much more touristy. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know whether I will go back or not. I mean, I'll go back one day, I think.
I think sometimes it's good when a place changes. Like I think it's, but when I went back, there was still enough of the Mexico that I knew for it to feel familiar. I suppose it helped that I was also with Hill, and I saw,
Mm.
I saw Julio and Carlos, I saw Richie, and I saw Ivan, and and I saw all Hill's family. So there was that connection to me. Like if I'd just gone back by myself, it
Mm.
would have felt very different. But the first night I was there on my own because Hill was coming later, and I stayed in a hotel on Reforma.
Mm.
And looking out at night over the Angel of Independence monument in the middle of Reforma and all of the lights, it was very emotional. Like I
Mm.
felt, because I hadn't been there since like during COVID times. And
Mm.
I was there and I had jet lag and it was like 3 a.m. and I couldn't sleep and I was sat looking out the window
Mm.
and it would just is one of those places that just carries so much emotion. And
Yeah.
I felt
Yeah.
so, so, so sad, but happy at the same time, this weird mix of emotions. And
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. It's like one of the places on the planet that if I had to stay there for the rest of my life, I wouldn't have any qualms about it. Whereas
And
there are other places I like. I don't want to be forever.
mm.
Like I like London, but I've had enough and I want to
Mm.
leave. That's how I feel at the moment. I like Brisbane to an extent, but I'm not sure it's forever for me. But Mexico City, if I ended up there forever, I think I would be very happy.
Yeah, and that's again another reason I'm a bit sort of cautious or wary about going back because it was I love Mexico City and I love so many things about it, but it was a very tumultuous, to quote Alanis for the third time, I think, in this episode, it was a very tumultuous time in our lives. It was a period of, that's where our relationship ended in Mexico City. That's where you and I, after being together for over 20 years, that's where you and I separated. And that wasn't like, we woke up one morning and decided to separate. That was a very protracted, ongoing thing, which had been going on for years, sometimes in London, but a lot of it was in Mexico City. And a lot of the sort of triggers or the catalyst events or people, whatever.
All the realizations happened there,
Yeah, happened there. And, and you dated Hill. That's where you and Hill started dating. I dated a few guys in Mexico City and, those relationships didn't last.
That's not
And
now, Sue.
Sue, don't start sniggering and laughing at my relationship, my boyfriend choices. And so I was going to say something really cutting then, but anyway, it was a time of like a lot of pain, trauma, a lot of personal growth. It was some of the most challenging moments for me in my life in terms of my mental and physical health.
But then,
And
don't you also feel there was a real, this sounds so wanky, but a real catharsis of it? And that the fact that all of those changes happened also makes it a really special place as well, that you
yeah,
were able to come through that?
yeah, exactly. But, and this is what I was trying to say to Hazel the other day, my worry is that now that I've been gone for, over 5 years, it's formed this kind of mythical period in my life. And I worry that when I go back, if I go back, well, I will go back at some point, but when I go back, I'm worried that I will struggle to reconcile Mexico City of today with this mythical, romanticized notion of it that it's become in my life, in my narrative, in my memory. And, yes, I'll see, Julio and Carlos, Richie, Ivan, some other people, and I'll go to some of my favorite places and I'll do things, but it won't feel the same because obviously the city's changed and the people have changed. And it was such a significant geographical location in my history and our shared history and your history, that I worry very much that it's become a romanticized chapter in my life that reality will never match up to.
Well, I see it as a real, like, when you say romanticized, it almost, that sounds like it's pretend, right? Like, or it's imagined, or it's a heightened sense of what it was like.
Yeah, I would say like a heightening of emotion.
To me, I remember it exactly the level that it deserves to be remembered. Like, it felt magical at times. It felt scary at times. Sometimes I was upset. Sometimes I felt well. Sometimes I felt unwell. To me, it's exactly how I remember it. And I remember being absolutely in love with the luchas and going to to watch the wrestling. I had the National Cinema, the Cineteca, the vegan taquerias, things like visiting Hill's family out next to Paluca in Estado de Mexico. And
like some things will still be there. Like, like a lot of the things you just mentioned, or like one of the things I absolutely loved were the incredible storms. Like the storms in Mexico City were like some of the most dramatic I've ever experienced, because you're such high elevation there. You're 7,000 feet up in the air. And, when a thunderstorm comes in, you feel like you're in the eye of the storm. The rain, the lightning, the thunder. I mean, it's so dramatic. Everything in Mexico City is so dramatic. And
why do we like rain so much like that? Because I think that about Brisbane as well. Like some of my favorite rainstorms have been in Brisbane. What's so nice about it?
Why do we socialized it, or do you think there's something deeper, something more on like a cellular, like genetic memory or something?
Well, yeah, is it like we know what it represents from like replenishment or something?
Perhaps, or purification, or and it's so complex because in Mexico City, the air pollution I don't know if it still is, but it used to be horrendous. Like you'd go out, if you were out in the city all day, you'd come home and you would wipe your skin with a tissue and it would be sort of almost black. It's like the air pollution, the traffic, the contamination was severe. And so when it rained, felt very nice. You felt like it was a purification of the air. But there was something more to it, isn't there? There's a symbolism of rain.
Are there any other places, like, why do you live in London when you have other options? Are there any other places that you would consider living or you'd want to live?
Well, Mexico City. I would like at some point to go back to Mexico City. I don't know if I would want to live there forever, but I wouldn't want to. I don't really want to go back as a tourist, and just visit for a few days or a week. I want to go back and live for a few months, perhaps. But then it's hard, isn't it? As you get older and you have work responsibilities. My mum's here in London, and I feel a responsibility to her because my brother's overseas, lives in America. So there are responsibilities and work. If I had a job which I could do remotely from anywhere, then I probably would travel a lot more and be a bit, even though I sound like an absolute wanker saying it, but like a digital nomad. Like
would you make London your base then, or would you be happy to make Australia your base?
Probably because my mum is here, and not just my mum, but I have you and I have spoken about this a lot, but I have my plants here, I have my garden here, and I feel like they are a priority for me. And I remember a lot of discussions you and I had when we were leaving, or I was leaving Mexico City, and I felt very torn about leaving a lot of my plants. And
Yeah.
anyway, I mean,
I would
it might sound
I
stupid to people, but it
I
was.
don't think it does. I would never have left Mexico if COVID hadn't happened.
Yeah, I don't
Like
know if I would have or not. I'm not
like
sure.
I had no plans or any intention or desire to leave Mexico.
Mm,
Like to me, that was where I was going to try and establish a longer term thing. I'd even given up on the having a visa for the UK. I even thought I won't bother going back,
yeah,
and it was only
yeah,
because of COVID, and it wasn't safe for me because I had no income and I was worried about the
yeah,
healthcare that I came back. I would never have come back, and so it's so weird, like the direction my life has taken because of COVID. I'm sure this happened to billions of people.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I had already set things in motion to get like my Mexican residency and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, and then COVID happened. Excuse me, COVID happened. Sorry, I've been drinking Diet 7 Up mixed with Ribena, so.
Oh my God.
I know. So yeah, like it's.
Like, I wonder what would have happened if. I mean, there's no point wondering, is there?
Yeah, who knows?
What? So there aren't any other cities that you would consider or would think it would be nice to live in?
Yeah, like I would definitely like to live in LA.
Hmm.
I would definitely like to live in the Bay Area. I don't know whether that be in San Francisco or perhaps in Berkeley, Oakland, somewhere like that. I really, there are just some cities, some places, some geographical locations which resonate for people and some that don't, and everyone's different. But California, I feel very, very drawn to the geography, the land, the landscapes, whatever you want to call it. Um, Sydney, I loved.
Oh
I
yeah,
do still like
yeah,
Sydney. It's a beautiful city, and I feel very,
yeah.
very at home there. Um, that's it, really. I don't think then. I mean, there are places I haven't been to in my life, but
There
for
are
the
there are
places I've
places
been,
there are places that I like that I would like to have time. This is so privileged to say this, but I'd like to have time each year there, but I wouldn't want it to be my permanent base. So
yeah,
somewhere like I absolutely love Paris. Like I think it's beautiful. There are parts of it, but if I was there for a month a year, that would be enough for me.
yeah,
And I would be
yeah,
I want to go to the cemetery, I want to walk along the river and do certain things that I like there, and
mm,
then that's it. But
mm,
other places like Los Angeles, yeah, I could stay there. Like I feel a bit of a connection to Los Angeles as well.
yeah,
Um, but definitely, I'd say number one on my list would be Mexico City. It
hmm.
doesn't even feel like a destination that I long for. It feels like one of my homes that I'm just not currently in.
Well,
That's what it
yeah,
feels like.
I was going to say that earlier, but I thought it just sounds so pretentious and ridiculous. Because I mean, all right, I lived there for about 4.5 years, and maybe a bit more when we were doing like some of the year there, some of the year in
Yeah,
London. But it does feel like home to me, in the same way that
yeah.
Sydney. I lived in Sydney for 5 years, and Sydney,
Hmm.
well, actually more because I was there for a year as a backpacker before I
Yeah,
met you, and then um, that feels like a home to me.
yeah. And what about
And
Brisbane?
no, it never felt like home to me. And I went back, as you know, I went back. What would it be, like 2.5 years ago now? Perhaps I
Um,
went back, and yes, it was nice to see some people there, but I felt absolutely no connection to the city, and I was like, yeah, it never felt like home to me. It never will. It's
well,
not for me.
Hill and I are looking to move to Australia, and obviously, like the number one choice would be Brisbane. But we're also looking at the possibility of moving to Sydney.
Hmm.
Like the
Well, you
transport and
should,
every,
so that I can come and visit you, Sue.
well, the transport is, you can get to Brisbane whenever you need to. When I want to visit people, like there are cheap flights. I think there are like 10 flights a day between like
Oh, for sure.
more or more.
Or
And
you can get the 14-hour train journey,
well,
Sue.
actually, I think even like driving used to be about 12 hours, but I think now with all the new freeways, it's about a 9-hour drive. So I know
Really?
that's a
Wow.
long way, but I think it's a lot faster now.
Yeah.
And Sydney is very beautiful. Like it's hard to describe to people who haven't been there before, but it is stunning. The harbour
City
is
of
beautiful.
City of Brides, Sue.
Is it?
I don't know. That's what it says in Muriel's wedding. Sydney, City of Brides.
Oh, okay. Well, we're coming up to the end of this episode, and we've talked a lot about travel and
About
event.
absolutely nothing.
My God, there was something I had on my list that we need to talk about.
Well, you've got 10 minutes, so do it quickly.
It's the passing of Julian McMahon.
Oh, yes. Speaking of Australia.
Yeah, so Julian McMahon, for people unfamiliar, was an actor and a model from Australia, and it is one of the most bizarre obits to leave behind. Like, not only was he the son of the 20th Prime Minister of Australia, so his father was the Prime Minister of Australia, he also was married for a very brief time to Danny Minogue. And famously, or not so famously because people don't know, but he was in one of her music videos for a song called This Is It. They met on set of a soap opera / telenovela called Home and Away, where his character was married to a fan favorite character called Carly. Do you remember? He was married to Carly, Sharon Hodgson.
Yeah.
And when their characters, they both left the show at the same time.
Carly, of course, is an alkie, not a druggie. That's not for here.
But Julian McMahon, his marriage to Danny Minogue didn't last very long. He was in, bizarrely, a lot of very famous bits of media. Like, he was in Charmed. He was in Nip Tuck, which was probably one of his biggest hits that ran for about 6 or 7 years. When he first moved to the US, he was in, what was the show called? I can't think, but it was like Another World or something, one of these soap operas.
Oh, right. Okay.
That was his first sort of break. He was in those Fantastic Four movies, some of those big blockbuster superhero movies. He was in that. But I think the last big show he was in was this drama series called FBI Most Wanted, and it was a massive hit, but he dropped out of it, must have been when he started to become ill. But did you know that in 2018, I think it was, he was in an Australian movie playing opposite Kylie Minogue?
Really?
Yeah, isn't that bizarre?
2017.
Like, 18, what was it? I think.
What was the film?
Do I have it written down?
Check notes.
No, I'm looking at my notes. I didn't write it down, but he was in this movie with Kylie and Guy Pearce. And in it, him and Kylie had a kissing scene. How bizarre after all of those years later. Like, him and Danny were married back in, when would that have been? 95 or something?
Yeah,
94?
Mid-90s, yeah.
And so all those years later, he had a kissing scene with his ex-sister-in-law.
How weird.
But he was also married to a woman who was in Baywatch as well.
Really?
Yeah, Brooke Burns, and she's still around, and I think maybe they had a child together. But I wanted to ask you something. I think that's all my notes on Julian McMahon. Let me just check. Carly / Sharon Hodgson.
I wanted to say something about him. And you're not going to change the subject from Julian, are you? Or
No, it's also about Julian.
Okay.
So, in all of the obituaries that I've read about him, because I read a few, it's said that he died in Clearwater, Florida, which makes me instantly think he must have been a Scientologist. Why
is that where the
yeah, they own like 80% of the town is owned by Scientology.
Oh, really? Okay.
And it's like, like, there's no reason why anyone would go there any other reason.
Yeah.
And he didn't live in Clearwater.
Interesting. Okay.
He obviously went there when he was like beyond recovery for his final, like he didn't go there on a holiday. He was very unwell with cancer for a long time. So it made me think he must have been a Scientologist. Like, that must be the reason he was there.
I think you need to check with our legal consultants before making such sweeping accusations.
Well, that's not slander to say you think somebody follows a certain religion.
No, but it carries, especially if he wasn't and you were his friend or family member.
You can't slander the dead, Sue.
Well, is that a legal fact?
Anyway,
factoid.
don't you think that it's probably
interesting.
high, and it's probably highly likely that he was a Scientologist,
or
and because
or a demon, or a demon.
yeah, he was there as the source of all evil, but as that's a charm preference. But I think when Scientologists are about to die, I think they go for auditing, to cleanse themselves or whatever, and so he might have gone to do his final auditing, which is very sad to me. But anyway, he to me wasn't somebody where I would instantly think he's my favorite person or entertainer, but he really was in a lot of things that I appreciated and loved, and I liked him in them. Like him in Charmed was great. Him with Alyssa Milano was one of my favorite TV ships, and him, the few things I saw him in Nip Tuck, he was very entertaining. Of course, I watched him on Home and Away, and I loved all the Danny drama and all the tabloids around their marriage and him and
what was Danny's character in Home and Away? Emma?
Emma. Yeah. So, he was someone that's been there since I was a teenager. In some form or another.
The thing that I read about his death was written by Alyssa Milano, who of course was his co-star in Charmed. And she just wrote a really lovely thing about him, just saying what a lovely person he was to work with, how she always felt safe and protected and respected. And I thought that was just a very nice way to remember someone, and refreshing in an industry which is not exactly known for its kindness and considerate, nature. That was a nice thing to read about him.
And all of the people who had anything to say about him were all glowing. And I know that's not proof that he was a wonderful person.
No,
I mean, people who were aggrieved by him might not want to say anything. But yeah, it was, there were a lot of very nice things to be said about him. But yeah, he was only 56 years old, which is quite young, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's sad for his family, but
we've had a lot, given that this is the 1 year anniversary of our podcast, we've had a lot of deaths in a year, haven't we? Like a lot of significant.
2 Charmed deaths.
Yeah, God, of course. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I mean, Shannon died within the course of this year.
Yeah.
Can you hear Hill in the background?
No.
Oh, okay.
Your microphone's very directional or localized.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who else have we talked about on the pod?
Well, obviously Jill Sobule. That was perhaps for me the most, that had the most impact on me, because she was such an inspiration, such a pivotal person in my life. Yeah, I mean, we had who else do we have? The Vivian, and the guy from Cheers, whose name escapes me. Norm from Cheers. Yeah.
Well, George Wendt,
yeah.
And also there was another drag queen who I am blanking on right now. I've got so many dead people's names running through my head.
I forget her name. Yeah, I know who you mean. But yeah, that's enough negativity for one episode, I suppose, because we don't want to be accused of being too negative.
Maybe in another episode, we can talk a bit more about death. I think it's a fascinating subject. But maybe death, what happens to us? Do we have plans for what happens when we die? Like what have we got wills? That sort of thing. I think that's interesting, and it's very much our age bracket to talk about stuff like that.
Well, tying it back to Mexico, I think, one of the things I enjoyed maybe isn't the right word, but one of the things that really sort of stood out and resonated with me is just how differently in Mexico death is viewed, or how it's incorporated into everyday life. I think in a lot of Western or Eurocentric cultures, we try to ignore death. We don't acknowledge it. We try and forget that it happens to all of us. We pretend that it doesn't exist, and we are not open about it. Whereas in Mexico, it's very different. You know, I mean, the most obvious example of that is the Day of the Dead, where the visual reminder of death is so ever present. So yeah, we could do a whole episode about death, about La Muerte.
Or maybe not a whole episode, but a good chunk of it. Anyway, before we go, I would just like to say I did remember by looking up Jiggly Caliente. Was the name of the drag performer. Bianca was her name, but her performance name was Jiggly Caliente. And the catchphrase on Drag Race, RuPaul used to always say to her, "May I call you Jiggly?" And Jiggly would say, "Yes, mother."
Okay. All right. Well, shall we wrap it up there then? You can subscribe.
Any catchphrases you can remember from Julian McMahon?
From Julian McMahon, God, no. I mean, I watched Charmed, but so long ago that I forget. But yeah, what I was going to say, you can subscribe wherever you're watching or listening. If it's YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else, please do subscribe. Please leave us a rating. Let us know if you have any questions, any topics you'd like us to discuss, anywhere where you think maybe we can tell you where you're going wrong. Other than that, you can find us on social media. I'm Josh and the Jumpstarts.
And I am Fat Gay Vegan.
All right. But until next week, folks, take care and stay jiggly.
See you.
Bye.